done. This is Algebra 1, Test 10. We got through Lesson 3.4 where we have variables on both sides. First question asks you which one is an identity. Remember, if it's an identity, it's exactly the same on the left side as it is on the right side. As we look at all of these problems, none of them are exactly the same on the left as they are on the right. This is the closest one because you got 5y on both the left and the right, but you got positive 3 and negative 3, so that one's definitely not an identity, D. As we distribute the negative 1 for A, it becomes 15 minus 2v minus 7 equals negative 2v minus 8. When we combine our like terms, 15 and negative 7, 15 minus 7 is going to be a positive 8. So you have negative 2v plus 8. And notice that is not the exact same thing as what's on the other side. Just like D wasn't an identity because it's positive and negative, neither is A. When we look at B, when we combine our like terms, 5m and negative m, on the right-hand side, we have 4m plus 7. On the left-hand side, it says 4m minus 5. That's not it, so it's probably C, but let's check to make sure. Combine your like terms, 5w and negative w, you get 4w. You still have plus 6 right there. When you distribute negative 2 to both of these, you get 6w minus 2w plus 6. And when you combine 6w and negative 2w, you get 4w. That looks the same as the left side, plus 6. That is the same as the left side. C is the first one. The other three are close, but none of them are exactly the same. Start solving equations for number 2. 3x over 5 is equal to 3x over 5 minus 0.5, which is 1/2, is equal to 1.9. You undo addition and subtraction first by adding 0.5. When you add it there, you add it here. This gives you 2.4 on the right. So you have 3x over 5. You could do this in 2 steps or in 1 step at this point. If you change this, instead of saying 3 times x over 5, you can say that this is the same thing as 3 over 5 times x is equal to 2.4. Where that makes a difference is because instead of multiplying both sides by 5, then dividing by 3, you can multiply by the reciprocal, 5 over 3. If you do that, you do the same thing to the other side. 2.4 times 5 divided by 3. And 2.4 times 5 and 2.4 times 5 divided by 3 is going to give you the number 4. X is 4. For number 3, you need to distribute 6 first. 6 times 4.5, y. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27.0y, or simply 27y. There's no reason to write 0.0. You also need to distribute 6 to negative 12. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry a 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 72. A positive times a negative is a negative 72. So 27y minus 72 equals 9. So that doesn't confuse anybody. 27y minus 72 equals 9. Undo your order of operations. Undo minus 72 by adding it to both sides. If you add it there, add it here, and you get 81 right there. So 27 times y equals 81. Undo 27 times something by dividing by 27. Do it to the right as well. Y is 3. Number 4, 3p minus 1 is equal to 5p minus 1 minus 2 times 7 minus 2p. A whole bunch of distributing we got to do right here. 5 times p is 5p. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. Negative 2 times negative 2p is positive 4p. A lot of talking right there. Again, that's one side. You still have to simplify it. You still got to combine your like terms, 5p and 4p, and you get 9p. Your other like terms are negative 5 and negative 14. Those are the same signs, so you add them up. 5 and 14, you get 19, and you keep that common sign, negative 19. So you have 9p minus 19 right there equals, the other side is already simplified, 3p minus 1. At this point, you have variables on both sides. This is where we started this week, variables on both sides. You need to make sure to collect all of your p's on the same side. 3p is smaller than 9p, so we'll bring that one over. If you went the other way, it still could come out right. Just make sure to check the answer. It's positive 3p, which means plus, so subtract 3p to undo it. If you subtract it from the left, subtract it from the right. 9p minus 3p is 6p. You still have negative 19 there, and it's still equal to, there's negative 1. Don't lose the negative right there. Brought 6p to the right, so let's bring negative 19 to the left. Undo negative 19 or minus 19 by adding it. If you add it to the right, add it to the left. Negative 1 plus 19 is positive 18, because you subtract them since they were opposite signs, is equal to 6 times p. Undo 6 times something by dividing by 6, and if you do it to one side, do likewise to the other side. P is equal to 3. Variables on both sides, an easier problem for number 5. You don't have to do any simplifying. First, bring your smaller 3x over to your larger 4x by subtracting the positive 3x. You do it to the right, do it to the left. 4x minus 3x is 1x. So x, you still have plus 8 over there, is equal to, you still have 3 on the right. Now it's just a simple one-step equation. Undo plus 8 by subtracting it. If you subtract it from the left, do it from the right. These are opposite signs right here, 3 and negative 8. So subtract them. 8 minus 3 is 5. And 8 is a negative value. It's the larger value, so negative is the sign you carry. X is negative 5. Number 6, you got to do a lot of combining like terms first. 9d plus 2d minus d. So 9 plus 2 is 11, minus 1 is 10d. You still have minus 9 there, equals 5d. Now, this point, you want to bring all of your variables to the same side. Normally, we would bring 5d over to the left, but since negative 9 is already over there, it's quicker to bring 10d over to the right. It's positive 10d, so undo that by subtracting it. If you do it there, do it here. 5d minus 10d is negative 5d, still equal to negative 9. Don't lose the negative value there. Undo negative 5 times d by dividing by negative. If you do it there, do it here. We know a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and you could leave it in this form right here, 9 over 5. There's no number that goes into both. Undo plus 4. Remember, you undo addition and subtraction first by subtracting it. If you subtract it there, do it here. Now, these are the same sign. Both of them have a negative in front, 6 and 4. So add them. 6 and 4 gives you 10, and keep the common sign, negative 10. It's equal to, it still says x over 8, which means x divided by 8. Cancel out divide by 8 by multiplying by 8. If you do it to the right, do it to the left. 8 times negative 10, a positive times a negative is a negative. 8 times 10 is 80, is equal to x. Number 8 says 2/3 x plus 5 equals 9. Again, undo plus 5 by subtracting it. If you subtract the left, subtract the right, you have 2/3 x is equal to 9 minus 5 is 4. This says 2/3 times x. Typically, you would undo times something by dividing. But remember, dividing by a fraction like 2/3 is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal, 3 over 2. If you multiply the left, multiply the right by 3 over 2. Everything's over 1. The number 2 can cross cancel itself one time and 4 2 times. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 1 times 1 would simply be 1. If you multiplied straight across, you would have gotten 12 over 1 times 2 is 2, and then 12 divided by 2 would have given you the same 6. Undo plus 8 for the next one by subtracting 8. If you subtract the right, subtract the left, you have 10 on the left is equal to negative d. That's the same thing as negative 1 times d. So if you want to get d by itself, undo negative 1 times something by dividing by negative 1. If you do it to the right, do it to the left. A positive divided by negative is a negative. 10 divided by 1 is 10. Number 10 says 2 is equal to 10 plus z divided by negative 3. Remember, normally we would undo plus 10 or the positive 10, but you can't right here because of the grouping symbol that's created by the fraction bar. It says divide by negative 3, so you need to make sure to undo that by multiplying by negative 3. That'll cancel this and leave you with 10 plus z. But remember, before anything you do to one side, you got to make sure to do to the other side. We multiplied it by negative 3, so over here, we're going to multiply it by negative 3. Remember, I told you if I asked you what is a negative times a negative, almost all of y'all would immediately yell out a positive. Use the same logic to make sure that you know that when they're opposite signs, a negative 3 times a positive 2, you get a negative 6. One more step we got to do. Undo 10 plus c, or the fact that it says positive 10 by subtracting 10. If you do it to the right, do the same to the left. Now, these have the same sign, so add them up. 6 and 10 is 16, and keep that sign that they have the same negative. Don't let it confuse you with multiplication and division. Same signs, add them up, keep the sign. Negative 16 is equal to z. Number 11, you have to simplify the left side first. Before you try to undo anything, everything needs to be simplified, which means we need to combine these like terms, 6 and 60. So 6 plus 60 plus 6 is 66, plus 48 is equal to 4m, excuse me, is equal to 78. Now you can't put 66 and 4m together because they're not like terms. So now we want to get m by itself. It's positive or plus 66, subtract it. You do it to the left, subtract 66 on the right. 78 minus 66 is 12 is equal to 4m. I'm going to do 4 times something by dividing by 4. Do likewise on the right. M is equal to 3. Number 12, again, we got to simplify before we undo. 6 is right next to y minus z. Distribute times y is 6y times negative 7. Again, opposite signs is negative 42 is equal to negative 12. Now you can't put 6y and negative 42 together. Now it's time to start undoing. Undo addition and subtraction first by adding 42 to cancel out minus 42. If you do it to the left, add 42 to the right. Here you have opposite signs, negative 12 and positive 42. So subtract them. 42 minus 12 is 30. And keep the larger sign. 42 is the higher absolute value. It's positive, so it is positive 30. We still have 6y on this side. Undo 6 times y by dividing by 6. If you do it to the left, do it to the right. Y is equal to 5. 3p over 4 plus 7 is equal to negative 11. Undo plus 7 first by subtracting 7. If you subtract 7 on the left, subtract it on the right. You have same signs here again. Add them up. 11 and 7 is 18, and keep the common sign, negative 18. Don't confuse it with multiplication. You still have 3p over 4. So you can do this in 2 steps or in 1 step. I'll show you 2 steps because that's how most of y'all will probably choose to do it. It says 3p over 4, which means 3p divided by 4. Undo that by multiplying by 4. If you multiply the left, do the same on the right. It'll cancel it out and leave you with just 3p on the left is equal to a negative times a positive is a negative. 8 times 4 is 32. Carry your 3. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 3 is negative 72. Then undo 3 times p by dividing by 3. Do the same here. Again, a negative divided by a positive is a negative. 3 goes into 7 twice, and there's 1 left over. 3 goes into 12 4 times. P is equal to negative 24. If you try to do it in 1 step instead of 2, you could have separated it and made it say 3 over 4 times p, and then multiplied by the reciprocal 4 over 3, and you would have gotten the same thing. P is equal to negative 24. Number 14 says you are driving to visit a friend in another state who lives 440 miles away. You're driving 55 miles per hour and have already driven 275 miles. Write and solve an equation to find how much longer in hours you must drive to reach your destination. 440 is equal to how much you're going to drive. The whole distance is 440. That's equal to the 55 miles per hour, means you're multiplying it times a variable, 55 times x, plus the 275 you have already driven. So 440 equals 55x plus 275. Simple. A very simple equation. Undo plus 275 by subtracting it. If you do it there, subtract it here. 10 minus 5 is 5. 13 minus 7 is 6. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So you have 165 miles left, and you're driving 55 miles per hour. Undo 55 times x by dividing by 55. If you do it to the right, do it to the left. and X is going to be equal to 3 more hours. So in order to reach your friend's house after already driving 275 miles, you need to drive 3 more hours. Number 15 says a customer went to a garden shop and bought some potting soil for $16 and 7 shrubs. The way that first sentence is written is very strange. Nobody would talk like that. You went to the store and you bought this for the money and something else. Okay, so that's why this is a tricky equation for some of you guys. The total bill was $89.50. However, you could take words and make math out of words. Potting soil, it's the soil plus the shrubs. So soil plus shrubs is total. So the soil we know is $16 plus the shrubs. We don't know how much they cost, but we know there are 7 of them. And it says find the price of each shrub. So anytime you don't know something, anytime you have an unknown, you represent it with a variable. So 7 times X is equal to the total 89.50. Okay, so again, now it's a problem just like the last one was. Undo positive 16 or plus 16. It's plus or positive by subtracting it. You do it to the left side of the equation, do likewise on the right side. You have 73.50 left over. So 7 times X is equal to 73.50. Undo that by dividing by 7. If you do it to the left, do it to the right. X equals $10.50. And we'll finish the rest on part 2.